All right, so the people out there want to know, how much money do you make per video?
That is a question we get.
Yeah, sure. I mean, honestly, YouTube stuff, revenue is not something that I like to talk about too much, but I make low, like usually between...
Me and my buddy, we making all of this money. Yeah, I know it's rude to be bragging. They never catching us slacking. Me and my buddy.
Welcome, guys. Table One Podcast. Justin Young. Around the corner, we got Art Parman and special guest right in the middle, Monkey, Brad Owen. So obviously, just a huge poker vlogger, like one of the most popular one in the business. Are you the most popular? Or?
There's a couple other guys now. Masato, he is crushing it. Japanese poker vlogger. He's one of the guys who has the most views and most subscribers. Wolfgang now has more subscribers, but he kind of does more shorts. But yeah, I'm one of the biggest.
I don't want to shut off Masato from ever joining our podcast, but I've seen his stuff. I far prefer yours, just for what it's worth. It's true.
I haven't seen it, so you're bigger in my mind as well.
Okay, yes, I'm the biggest.
The biggest in Art's garage. Anyway.
What do you mean? We're in table one, can't you see?
Oh yeah, table one, back here. We're going to play soon, right after this. But yeah, no, and that's not all. You're a part owner, investor, equity shareholder of the card club. What's the name of it?
The Lodge in Austin, Texas. Technically it's in Round Rock, but we say Austin to get more people to go out there.
No, for sure. And I've been out there, and I love the room. I love the people that work there. I was a little bit surprised, but we did go see the Round Rock Express, which is I think a AA team up there, baseball, which is like 5 minutes down the road from where they are. So it's quite convenient. So maybe you're not downtown Austin, but you at least get some baseball.
Yeah, it's about 25 minutes away from downtown Austin, but there is a downtown Round Rock area that is, pretty charming in its own right. It's funny that you bring up the baseball team, because the only time I've actually seen that team is when I happened to go to an Aviators game and they were playing Round Rock, which is cool.
That is cool. And then beyond that, you're also Club WPT sponsored pro, right?
Yeah. Club WPT is kind of its own subsect of WPT, which is the online portion of it that's US facing, where you pay like a monthly subscription. But yeah, I'm a WPT ambassador.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's great.
Long way you've come from the YouTube streets.
Yeah, every once in a while, it's good to just kind of step back and look at how far I've come from playing for $1 and $5 with friends around the high school, like kitchen table and stuff. And usually I'm kind of just caught in the middle of a bunch of things, and I just keep my head down, keep kind of pressing forward, so I don't really stop to look back that often.
That's good. That's probably for the best.
No, well,
keep moving forward.
This might be a good avenue where you actually get to, because we're gonna bring up a lot of your past, and you're gonna have to tell us some stories, and then I hope you get to reflect and enjoy all your success, because I know probably 10% of the stories you're gonna tell, and I'm looking forward to all of it. It's gonna be good. So, typically on our podcast, our initial kind of dive off segment is, how did you get into gambling, aka poker? Basically, how did you decide to go away from the mainstream life and get into this life we've all chosen?
Sure, yeah. Well, my dad was in the casino industry when I was growing up. He was part of a group that would basically buy rundown card rooms that were American owned, so didn't have to do with tribal at all, and he would flip them. So he brought home this casino game called Hoyle Casino 2003, and every day after school I would play that game, and you could play Texas Hold'em against simulated opponents. At that time, Moneymaker won the main event, and poker was just blowing up. I was 15 and playing a lot with my brother and his friends around the kitchen table, and it was the first thing I could beat my brother at. He was 4 years older than me.
Nice.
So I just kind of loved it immediately, and I remember getting my first poker book at 16 or 17 and just took it seriously right away. Thought it was the coolest way to make money. And I went to school at University of San Diego, and there's a lot of tribal casinos around there where you can play at 18. So I was going to the casinos and playing mostly like 3-6 limit and $40 tournaments, and continued to do well. I won a satellite into the main event as soon as I graduated college. It was a $100 buy-in, which was the biggest buy-in I'd played at that point. And I was like one of the top 50 chip stacks. I was for my flight, and just took it like more and more seriously after that.
Was that an online satellite or that was in person?
No, that was an in-person one, close to where I grew up in Northern California.
Okay. Did you play much online?
I did, but I was always a loser. Not like I lost a lot, but between the ages of 18 and 24, I probably lost like $2,500, just a couple $100 at a time.
All right.
So you mentioned graduating college. What did you go to school for?
I went to school for accounting. I graduated in 2010, which wasn't a good time to graduate with any kind of finance or accounting degree. Moved to San Francisco, and I had 2 roommates. One of them was living in the living room at our place. I ended up getting a job at the apartment complex. So my first full-time job was leasing apartments.
Really?
Yeah.
So how did you get into that again? Sorry.
We moved to San Francisco. Only one of us had a job. And I just figured I would apply to a bunch of places. The apartment complex was actually hiring, so I didn't even have to apply for it, really. They just invited me in for an interview, knowing that I was looking for a job. And then that started out as a part-time thing, but like 2 days into it, they asked me if I wanted to go full-time. And it was a pretty cool gig. So I did that for a year and a half, played a lot of poker on the side at Lucky Chances right outside San Francisco, and then moved to Vegas in 2012.
All right, well, there has to be a story between 2010 and 2012 that led you to that.
I was just playing a lot of poker, playing a lot of cash games, won some local tournaments, decided that if I was going to play poker for a living, which was always my dream and goal, that in my early 20s, that was the time to do it. Otherwise, I'd have more and more responsibilities and I'd never be able to take a shot. So I moved to Vegas with like 10K to my name. I had another 10K in investments that I hopefully wasn't going to dip into, but I had a buddy who had a place out here, and he charged me $600 a month in rent. I had very little expenses. I was playing at Red Rock a lot, playing 2-5, winning like $3,000 to $4,000 a month. And
wow, nice.
I was able to save a couple thousand, so I was really happy with that. And just reading a lot of poker material, writing down in like a poker journal every big hand that I played, trying to get better. I had a girlfriend who was actually my boss in San Francisco. She moved to Southern California, to Newport Beach. She was like 6 years older,
Nice.
and she really had her shit together, aside from the fact that she was dating me.
Dating you, yeah, that's fair.
I was the one mark on her record.
Exactly, yeah.
Why would I trust her if
Right.
she trusts me?
She was, I think she just turned 30, and
Ew, gross.
I was 24, right? I moved to LA with my brother after living in Vegas for 6 months. When I visited her, I was playing at Commerce and playing 5-10. They had a lot of weird cash game structures in 2012 where 3-5 was like a $200 min-max buy-in, and 5-10, they had 2 different structures. One of them was like a $400 min-max, and the other one was like $500 to $1,500, which was the structure I preferred to play. You could play like 150 big blinds deep as opposed to like 40 big blinds deep. So I was playing that, and I was doing well when I visited her. When I moved out there, I just got torched. My expenses were a lot more, and I was like way more stressed out, and I was playing bigger, running bad, playing bad. It was like a whirlwind of just me getting wrecked.
So you moved to Vegas, and then you end up moving back to Commerce?
I moved to LA,
For a
yeah.
stretch to be with your...
Right, to be closer to her, and I thought I was gonna be making more money. It ended up being really terrible.
Not the word I thought you were going to say.
No.
Ease into it. I mean, she has a name.
Right.
Sorry.
So yeah, she, obviously didn't love being with like a struggling poker player at that point in her life while she was crushing her own career and really in the prime of her life. We broke up. I was going broke. I moved back in with my parents in Northern California. I was really lucky to have kind of that safety net, but just super unhappy with my own life as a 24-year-old moving back in with the family, while a lot of my other friends were, really getting into the thick of it with their own careers and doing well, where I had to kind of start from ground zero.
Yeah, one thing they don't talk about with professional poker is like you get into it for like the freedom and I'm going to do whatever I want. But if you have a girlfriend, like my wife has a job, she's a teacher. If you have somebody that has like a normal job, then you may as well be on the night shift and not, because you're not going to see that person that often, because the best time to play poker is Friday and Saturday and Sunday. So it's
at night.
You sign up for the freedom and then you end up just not seeing the reason that you have the freedom. So there's some downside in that way for sure.
Yeah, so moved back in with the parents, and I was just really struggling to figure out what the fuck I was going to do with my life. And maybe, 4 or 5 months into it, I realized, I hadn't done anything with my undergraduate degree. I decided to study for the CPA exams, and I just went for it. I studied every day for 6 to 10 hours, and I passed all 4 of the CPA exams within 4 months, which is one of my favorite kind of accomplishments. But accounting firms don't hire people who are entry level, except for they recruit from colleges. So I realized I needed to go back to college, and UNLV was like the last place that was still accepting applicants for the master's program. And I'd already lived in Vegas, loved it, decided to go there. The whole program just basically sets you up to take the CPA exams, which I'd already taken and passed, so it was all review. I was playing poker probably 20 to 30 hours a week, doing well, kind of always did well in Vegas, playing 2-5 again, making a couple $1,000 a month.
But like when you're doing these classes, your intention was to get in, to be a CPA. Like
it was, but in the back of my mind, I always knew like poker was where my heart was.
Okay, that's very fair.
Yeah.
Continue. I was just more curious, like I know those parts were like, oh, I'm gonna be straight on the narrow, and then like you always see this in the peripheral.
Exactly.
It's like, oh.
Yeah. I didn't tell my parents that. They gave me a loan.
But they're watching.
So that's just a 1-year program, and then I got a job with Ernst & Young, which is one of the big 4 accounting firms, and I worked with them for a year to satisfy one of the CPA requirements, but I absolutely hated it. I was terrible at it. My heart wasn't into it. Basically had to work around 3,000 hours a year while traveling a ton and getting paid like $50K a year. So in my mind, it's just like, why am I doing this where I'm getting like $16 an hour, where hopefully in 5 years from now, I might make $100K. It just didn't really make sense to me. So I quit that. I went back to poker, which was another huge conversation that I had with my parents, where they were extremely disappointed in me. But I knew that that's kind of what I had to do. And that was in 2015 that I went back to poker full time. And then in 2016, I started doing the videos.
Okay. What made you want to start doing the videos?
Mostly to show my family and friends what my life was actually like as a professional poker player, that I wasn't like a degenerate gambler, that it is a skill game, and that I had an edge in it, and maybe they wouldn't be constantly asking me when I'm going to get a real job again.
That's a great reason. Could you do one for me? I feel like most of my family still doesn't understand.
I think a lot of them think he plays roulette for a living.
Well, you've had obviously a ton of success, so I mean, when they see your big tournament scores and various things like that, that's got to be fun. They've got to kind of see that and process it.
No, for sure. So I've said this before, like on my side of the family and friends for that matter, there's 2 sides, 2 people or 2 kinds of people that like how they view like what I do that aren't in the gambling world. One thinks I literally go up to a roulette wheel and I'm like, I know 10's gonna hit, and I just put money on 10 and I just make money at it every day.
Right.
And I'm the luckiest person on the face of the planet. I would say that's the majority of my side, my North Carolina side of the family and friends. The other side thinks I'm basically Rain Man, and I just show up and I count cards and I can beat every single person, and I'm the richest person. I never can lose, and like doesn't matter who plays against me. I'm gonna beat everybody, and that's it. There's no in between. There's no pure understanding or whatever. Like, you know, a lot of the people, whatever. I've played cribbage with them. I've played gin. Like, you know, they understand their skill in cards, but they don't understand the longevity, the ebbs and flows of this game, and it's hard. Like, I honestly just got off the phone with my mom, and we were talking, and I told her I had an awful year last year, a terrible year last year, by the way, and she's like, oh, I had no idea. I'm like, yeah, it's because she just thinks I'm just gonna win every year, and like, God bless her, I'm glad she thinks that way, but it's just not the truth. Sorry.
No, I think it's okay to have.
Sorry, that was more about me for a second.
That's why I was happy to kind of come on the podcast to learn more about you guys too, because I've known about you guys being out here for a long time, but we haven't had that many opportunities to kind of discuss anything.
So you started, you quit your job, you started vlogging in 2014, you said?
2016.
Okay, 16.
Yeah.
Which is also, I believe, the same time you started getting into MTTs more. Is that true?
Not quite.
Or you tried a lot. I mean, I know you say you won some like local stuff, but like I looked up your card player, Hidden Mob or whatever. And
right.
Like, your first big cash, I believe it was 2016.
Yeah. So, well, that $100 satellite. That was big for me, but that doesn't go on the Hidden Mob. It was just a local thing, and family and friends, they were excited for me to play the main event. Most people at that time had heard of the World Series of Poker, so that was pretty exciting. But I would just basically play like 5 WSOP buy-ins kind of a year from 2010 to like before I had this WPT deal, but I was just kind of like 95% a cash game player, and I just didn't have anything on the Hidden Mob. I just bricked like every WSOP buy-in that I played for like 10 years.
Tournaments are a fickle girl.
Way to call him out, Justin. I noticed you first started playing tournaments in 2016. Well, actually,
I assumed he was all cash.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
It pretty much was.
And I was
pretty much was. Yeah, there weren't really that many WSOP buy-ins. I remember there was one year, I think it might have been 2016, where I fired like 12 bullets or something. I fired like maybe 8K worth of buy-ins and bricked pretty much everything except for the smallest buy-in one. And I think that might be the first thing that's on my Hidden Mob.
Sorry, rudimentary research there, but like still, like I always thought you as a cash game guy. So like
100%. No, that's completely accurate.
I was impressed and like shocked at like how much actual results you have for like tournaments. I know a lot of it's come in the last 2 years.
Yeah.
But still, like it's quite impressive to like be a grinder cash game guy and then like transition into tournaments. It's apples and oranges. It's not the same thing.
Right. I think one of the things that I always had trouble with was these smaller buy-in events, these like 500 to 1500s. A lot of them you're playing at a very shallow level for a long time, and that is something that I wasn't really accustomed to being a cash game player. So didn't really do well in those, didn't do well around the bubble. I would just kind of tense up and then just blast off for no reason for like 20 big blinds, just like open ripping queen 10 offsuit from like early position or something, just because I was like,
I have no idea what you're talking about. Little. No idea. Nope. He would never done anything close to that.
Yeah.
I know what you mean. Sorry. Yep.
So then it was just really disappointing for me. And then with every bubble, I would become more and more frustrated and not really want to play that many tournaments. But yeah, as I got this deal with WPT and I had a bigger and bigger bankroll, I could start affording bigger buy-in tournaments, and you're deeper for longer, and it plays more like a cash game for longer. And so I've had a lot of success in these deep tournaments that are bigger buy-ins, which is pretty fun. I actually haven't done quite as well in the lower buy-in ones.
So between when you started vlogging and your WPT deal, obviously, how long did it take you to start getting like some traction, subscribers, and all that stuff? Because, you know,
I'm curious.
Not for my own selfish purposes, but I just want to know. It's been a few months now. We're at 850.
The thing that's tougher with you guys and what you're doing is that it's a way more developed niche now or whatever. Like back then, there was almost no low and medium stakes content out there. There was like very little competition. So I remember putting out my first vlog. It was December of 2016, and after an hour, it had 18 views, and I was like, "Fuck, man! I don't know. Maybe I just want to take this down. I'm not really sure if I want family or friends to actually see this." I'm glad I didn't take it down. I think like 2 or 3 days into it, something happened where YouTube just started really pushing it out, and maybe it had a couple thousand views. And I remember I had like 200 subscribers, maybe 4 days into it, and then. But they just like kept coming. So every hour I was kind of checking. I was super excited about it and kept putting out content. I think I had 100,000 views the first month into it total on the channel and 3,000 subscribers. I think after a year I had about 20,000 subscribers. But like I said, there was just no competition. Now there's hundreds or thousands of vloggers. But it was just, a really kind of unique time to get in the poker content space.
Yeah, you picked a good category, I think, because what I've noticed on our channel is like every time that we tell a hand history or anything, anybody on the thing tells a hand history that lasts like more than a couple minutes, the viewership like stays up until the end of the hand. Like they just want to know how it finishes. And for the rest of the channel, you know, obviously it drops off at the beginning and then it's kind of a slow dip down. But if there's ever any like interesting hand that people are talking about, it just seems to pique people's interest until they get the conclusion. It's like you're hooked into the story automatically if you know poker at all.
Yeah, 100%. Anytime you have poker hand histories, especially if the hand is really interesting, that's what people are there for. When you start talking about other life stuff, like which makes podcasts tough, people tend to not be quite as interested in non-poker related stuff.
Yeah, makes sense.
And like I do find myself, I've watched a handful of your vlogs, and like it's cool. Like I like the way you film them. And like you go up there, you don't get anyone's face in. That's like you focus on the money. You show up. You have 15,000 or 20,000, and like you show the cash on the table, and you show the chips getting there. You show the chips getting on the table, and you show the chips going. Like it's a ride along, which is it's very intense. Like you know, as a viewer, like I mean. I've done this obviously for years, but like even like watching yours, like I'm engaged. Like I'm all the way there. Like it's kind of fun.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love hearing that. The goal with the YouTube vlog, it isn't so much to get guys like you in, you know, who are playing poker full time and you're playing poker at a high level. It's more for recreational players, but it's always cool to hear if there are people who are, you know, have been in poker for a long time, still find it interesting.
Have you thought about the Ray-Ban spectacles with the cameras in them? We were thinking about getting a couple for the game. And
are you gonna do it?
I might. I was actually just playing a poker session with Jamin Burton, who's another poker vlogger, and he had them on. That was like 2 days ago, and they are really cool. I think that would be another really cool element to add to the vlogs for sure.
Yeah, I guess you just gotta, it's a little bit more focused on where you put your head because with your camera, it's always pointed in one spot. A little bit more editing work for you on the back end. Like, oh, what's going on over here? Oh, I just looked at that waitress's ass. Oh.
Yeah. Like,
hope my
you just edited that out.
See that.
Well, yeah, it might be a poker tell if like, you know, you're like, whatever, I'll peel here and just like looking around. And all of a sudden you have aces, you're like,
hold on, this is good content.
Okay, you're right.
But that's how it works with the poker vlogging though. I mean, you guys have been at the table when I'm filming, and a lot of people think, oh wow, anytime he turns the camera on, he's got a big hand. But yeah, I'm filming bluffs too. So you just gotta try to keep it balanced and keep all that stuff in mind while you are filming. But it's not that hard to do that.
Speaking of which, we loved having you at table one, by the way. It was amazing. I'm pretty sure you won a little bit of money.
A little bit, yeah. It was a back and forth session. Yeah, it was pretty fun.
But personally, I know I cooled you with aces versus ace king one time.
You did.
But you also owned me in 2 other pots, and this is more about that.
Perfect. Yes.
No, you just I don't know. We obviously wanted you on just to do experience a new avenue that could be explored for Table One and whatnot. And we were happy to promote you because like we've heard nothing but good things about you. But you crushed me. So this is more about that. So talk to me how you faced me as an opponent.
Oh, nice.
Okay, so you and I, we had never played together before that
We had
session.
not, no.
So going into the high stakes session, especially with newer players or players that I have never played with before, I'm kind of paying more attention to what their tendencies are and what they're doing. And right away, you had cold called a 3-bet with like 4-3 suited.
I'm with you so far.
Tell me when the mistake.
Tell me when I make a mistake.
You were in the straddle, and I had opened Ace-Jack suited. Matt Moore had 3-bet from the small blind.
I remember the same. Okay.
With kings, and you had cold called from the straddle with 4-3 or 5-4 suited or something. I think you flopped a gutter. I'd flopped top. You flopped a gutter with maybe a backdoor flush draw or something. Anyway.
Is this a hand history?
Yeah.
This is a good time to tell everyone out there, it's free to subscribe. You just have to click the button, and Brad will tell you the rest of this hand in about 3, 2. You haven't subscribed yet. Okay, go.
I think it had checked to me, and I had bet the flop. There was a flush draw on the flop, and I bet Matt calls, then you call. So right away I'm thinking, someone's probably got a draw of some sort. Turn is like the queen that completes the flush draw. Matt checks, you bet. I'm not really feeling too good about this situation. I fold second pair after getting 2 callers, just thinking that Ace-Jack's no good anymore. Matt calls, river's some kind of blank. I think he checks.
No.
Or he bets.
I bet a lot.
No, Matt.
Oh, Matt.
In the small blind. So he might have checked and then you bet big, or he bet and then you raised. I'm pretty sure he checked and you bet big.
Yeah, I think it's
and then he called, and then it gets to showdown. Matt has kings.
I think it was an ace too. I do think. Either way, either way, it doesn't matter. Sorry.
I don't think it was an ace because I think I would have remembered if I had river top 2. Or so anyway, and then it gets shown down, and all of a sudden I see what you called the 3-bet with, what you fired with on the turn, and what you fired with on the river. So at that point, I'm just like, all right, well, Justin is a wild man. And I'm going to be on the lookout. I'm going to have to adjust, probably call lighter in these situations where it gets heads up against him. And there might be some rebluff opportunities down the road, knowing that you're willing to kind of make some big wagers with very little.
Okay, well, we can edit that out, guys. We don't need anyone to know any of that content. Do not play that way against me at all. I'm tight solid. No. Like,
if you show up with a hand against me, like, you're going to get paid. So
for sure.
That works out in your favor. But in the instances where we played hands together in the future, you like you had aces, obviously I'm like always going to pay you in that spot when I have ace king. And then that was the only time where you really showed up with a hand against me. There were some other times where
I did not,
where you had less to work with, and I stayed in there and picked some well-timed spots to win some pots.
I thought you played really good, and I thought you pivoted very well from the personalities. I thought you were very well focused. I'm not trying to kill your action for future invites back. It's like we'd actually love to have you back.
That'd be great.
Truly, and like we'd let you stay the entire time. Just in general, like our normal things are from noon to 6 or something like that. So,
Sure.
we'd love to have you for that. But anyway, no, I went back and watched the entire content, and I thought you played extremely well across the board. And I'm not just trying to tout you up or anything like that, but it was fun to watch you play. Like your vlog was very fun to watch, even as someone that people consider an expert in poker, which I'm not.
And this podcast I consider difficult to edit because I'm the one editing it. But I've seen some of the behind the scene vlog stuff. It's got cards here and things here. I did one hand where Justin was telling a hand and I was putting cards in. And I was like, man, I would not want to do that for more than one hand. That's a lot of graphics.
It is a lot of work, and I appreciate you guys having me there. I feel like not everyone knows that there's definitely an art to creating lineups, especially for high stakes games. it is kind of difficult balancing it out. So I give you guys a lot of credit for doing that and still creating like a fun environment. And I think that came through in the vlog, and there were so many interesting hands. And like you say, it is a lot of work. So that vlog in particular took a really long time to make, but it's one of the most viewed ones in the last 6 months. So
So I don't even have to link it. You guys have probably seen that one already.
Yeah.
How many views did you say it had?
That one has a little over 700,000 at the moment.
So many views.
So many views. That's almost as many subscribers as you have.
Yeah. Yeah.
At this point, I'm sure by the time you guys watch this, it'll be closer to 800,000. Maybe millions.
Billions. Sorry, I don't know how numbers work. I'm not a CPA.
Oh my God. How long do you think the average one takes you to edit down?
It's usually about an hour per minute of video that makes the final cut.
What?
So that one was I think that one was around 35 minutes. So yeah, it took,
whole
takes
weeks
around
of work?
35 hours. Yeah.
Holy shit.
And you still do them all yourself? Do you have
Right
anything
now,
outsourced?
so I did have an editor to help me with that particular one. He helped me for a stretch of about 15 vlogs, and but now I'm back to doing it myself.
I feel like it's not the same if you're not on the controls.
I think he does a really good job, but YouTube sometimes doesn't push out the ones that he does quite as much. YouTube is very strange where if you do something like 2% not as good, that might cut down the viewership by like 10 to 20 to 30%. So I thought he did an amazing job, and I would have loved to have kept him because he did save me a lot of time. He saved me like 40% of time, basically. I still have to write the script, record all the audio, send all the notes, pick the music, record intros and outros, watch a draft of his, write notes on the draft, send it back so he can make the final changes, upload it, pick thumbnails and all that. It's pretty intense, actually.
What have you been doing?
So I'm just chilling. I don't know. That takes me about an hour per half hour of content.
Sorry, I'm only giving him shit because I have.
Takes Justin about an hour per hour of content.
Yeah, I do literally nothing, and then I'm just like, Art, so what's going on? We're gonna put it out, and he's like, still working on it. I'm like, all right. I mean, it'd be cool if you put it out, but whatever.
Yeah.
Saturday's coming up. It's tomorrow.
I'm joking. He explains to me how much work it is and whatnot, but still, he does all the work, and I show up beer in hand and just talk like a monkey.
But yeah, if you weren't here, we wouldn't have the viership. I need a poker celebrity, a gray bearded poker celebrity.
Tell me more. Tell me more.
All right, where were we? Should we just jerk each other off now?
All right, no, honestly, I love your vlogs or whatever. So
I'm actually a little flushed. I'm gonna turn this heat off, and I'm gonna grab another beer.
I remember the first time I tried to show someone how to pop the top off a kitchen counter or whatever.
Oh yeah.
That's how I grew up. It's you don't have to, it's fine, just pop it. It's not a big deal. Or if you get a lighter. And the first time I did it as an adult, I'm like, I'll just do it on my kitchen counter. Just took a chunk right out of the marble. I'm like,
this cheap ass manufacturing.
I'm an idiot.
There was a lot of Formica countertops that I messed up doing it that way for sure.
I don't know. Last time I gave Justin a beer opener, he made his fingers bleed. So he was like, how does this work anyway?
It's this weird. No, it's my fault. Obviously, I'm not blaming Art, but it's so. I want to find it and I want to hand it to
I bet you want to find it. You probably threw it away after it hurt you.
I'd punch it in the face. All right.
But by that premise, you would have thrown poker away a long time ago.
Fair enough.
Damn.
Sorry, this is how we work.
I hurt myself today.
Hello, darkness, my friend.
So I'm not joking. So this is the video game or whatever, but whoever won with 7 News last got to pick the music. And there was a spot where I had control over the music, and I lost a massive pot. And I was depressed, and I was just start yelling out the most depressing songs over and over again. And it lasted no one else would win 7 Deuce, and I did it for 45 minutes, and everyone was just like, "Dude, just stop a little bit." But Hurt Myself was on there, and whatever, a bunch of REM songs. They're depressing. Like, it was sad. Sorry, we can go back to like the pod now, but I'm just.
All right, we're
Pretty
I
good.
I like
Pretty
to
good story.
I like to enjoy my wins and my losses.
I enjoyed this part.
I really do. Like, I think that's a big part of poker is like enjoying wins and losses. Like, it's like
I think especially once you recover from losses, you know, things are a bit more funny and easier to talk about. But yeah, when you're in the midst of a downswing and or you just have a big loss, yeah, it's pretty brutal.
yeah. Sure. Speaking of
Cheers
which, I'm
to
on a
that.
downswing.
Cheers to downswings.
Actually,
Cheers.
we were all
in their
cheers.
glory.
Actually, Art and I both
Downswings
have
in the
those.
rearview mirror. Anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's fun to, you know, have the graph start turning the other way at some point, and then once you're out of it, it's pretty sweet. Like, I feel like every downswing you're in and out of is like another badge you put on the.
Damn right.
Yeah.
No, that's a good point. And like when I was an engineer, part of my job, or what I considered my job, was to make graphs of my my poker career. And like I would spend a good hour a day. Sorry, again, Department of Defense, I apologize. But like I would literally spend times like breaking down hourlies and like stakes and whatnot, and like different graphs to like show this. And to your point, like you get to a point where it's just like, as soon as you see a little uptick, like emotionally, it gives you such an endorphin. Like even if like it looks like this, and then all of a sudden it's like this, you're like, oh, no, we got this. This is fun, and like confidence brings confidence, and like
every downswing that I've been in and gotten out of, is 100% made me a lot better. You know, where I start doing some. Usually I'll start losing, and then I will maybe start playing crazier, and then be in like a deeper hole. And then I'm like, all right, I just need to take a break. Need to figure out what I'm doing that's wrong. Like revisit some hands, figure out some things I did wrong, or maybe it was just bad luck or whatever. And then I become a much better player as a result.
It's nice that you have a good chunk of your sessions just on video too, so you could actually like got the notes to go back to and be like, all right, look, I really fucked up here. I know in the video I said, well, I'm supposed to be doing this and he's supposed to be doing that, but actually maybe I should have just folded this hand pre-flop.
That it kind of forces me to study, because as I'm writing the scripts to videos, I will look at, you know, some solver based thing. Usually it's GTO Wizard now, because it's just kind of the simplest, even though it's not necessarily the best because it doesn't have exact scenarios. But anyway, shout out to GTO Wizard.
You're good. You're not great.
they are good. They're good. You have to know how to apply them.
Right.
That's
So you know, I try to get
great.
it as close as I can, and I will incorporate like what I should have done in the script of a vlog. I'll look at what GTO Wizard outputs are, and I'll just be like, yeah, I should have done this. This is what I did. Sometimes it'll be like, oh yeah, I can do that a percentage of the time. And sometimes it's like, oh no, I super fucked up this spot and I should never do it.
It's getting closer and closer to chess. You're like, this is confirmed blunder right here.
It's different when you guys are doing the table one stuff, because there are different dynamics at play where you want to keep people coming back and you want to create this fun environment for everybody, right? So you're going to deviate from the optimal strategy a ton of the time. And because people aren't playing close to optimally who you're playing against, you have to make all kinds of adjustments on the fly that no solver really can help you out with. And you have to figure out a bunch of shit in the moment for really high stakes, which is something that's unique and pretty cool.
Yeah, thank you for pointing that out, by the way, because like it is extremely tough for us anyway. Maybe for normal people it's great, but like I have a hard time with it, like constantly. Like I want the game to be fun, but like you put yourself in bad spots and like you just gotta like dig yourself out or like bail at the same time.
Do you feel like there's extra pressure as game hosts to do things that you might not ordinarily do if you were trying to win the most in like the course of a 4-hour session or something?
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, beyond just the fact of like running the game is difficult and you're getting millions of texts from people that like want to play, or like you're trying to coordinate people coming in and leaving and all that stuff. But just actual poker, yeah, if you wanted to play the best you could possibly play, like you would just sit there and put your headphones on and like buckle down and you know, be Steven Chidwick or whatever. But when you're just trying to have a fun environment and then also hope that you win at least enough to support your family for the year, then you gotta balance that out, I think.
Yeah, support your family for a year in one session, because you guys are playing.
I supported a lot of families the last session I played, and they are not related to me.
But I always view it as like the devil always taking over. Like my devil is he's reasonable at poker. He's fine. The angel is so fucking good at poker. The devil though, in these like games, like just takes over. It's just like every time I'm like, yeah, 3-betting here would be fun. I'm pretty sure he's weak. This is gonna be fucking fantastic.
Yeah.
Let's do it. And like devil's like, yeah, let's go. And the angel's like, come on, what are you doing? Like we can just wait for a better spot. It's not a big deal. And the devil just wins. I would say a larger majority of the time when it comes to like cash game or privatized cash games, especially when we're running them. Because like I always have the extra reason to make sure people have fun. And the reason people want to have fun is the hosts tend to play worse. The pots get bigger. There's more multi-way pots. Like I cold call 4-3 suited and bluff it off to, you know, it's.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's the optimal strategy. I'm just saying it's a strategy I deal with every day.
Yeah, there's a lot you guys have to balance out kind of all at once.
Yeah.
And I think that you guys do a very good job of doing that. I mean, we got into a hand where you bluffed 7 deuce.
Oh, I remember this.
In a bomb pot.
I do.
And yeah, that was kind of like one of the more fun spots. I turned a counterfeit 2-pair into a check raise rebluff.
I remember now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was a good one.
Yeah.
I had a flush draw, right? Or I don't even know. There was a flush draw on the board.
There was.
Maybe
it
I had
had gotten
Maybe I
there,
didn't.
but like the board had paired.
That's right.
To counterfeit me, and
Yeah,
so.
why can't you just let that go? Just let it go there, man. Come on. My kid's got to eat.
I know.
Did you not hear? He spends a minute for every minute he puts out on there. Like,
An hour.
Hour per minute. Like,
Yeah.
Dude, he's watched that bit like at least 3 hours then.
Yeah, pretty much.
So
but
yeah, of course he's gonna remember you.
It's also fun for me to. You guys have kind of your own incentives to get a little wild in that game, but I do too, because it is way more fun for a vlog if I'm making plays, if I feel like they're, you know, break even in EV or even slightly like losing plays, but it makes the vlog like twice as interesting, you know.
Err on the side of gamble.
Err on the side of gamble when filming, yes.
So that is interesting you bringing that up, because I was thinking about that today when like 2 hours when I was at the bar. But like either way, like how do you like differentiate like what's good for media and what's good for poker? Like it seems very difficult to me.
And what do you mean in terms of like?
Well,
what's
when I
good
say
for
poker, I mean bankroll. Sorry, like
okay.
a winning play.
In terms of Brad, what's good for Brad?
Yeah, like so
Sure.
because like you're quite successful with your blog, which is very apparent.
Yeah.
So like at what point do you start like deviating away from the success from the vlog and trying to concentrate on the money as opposed to like increased viewership?
Yeah, I mean generally like the bigger the game is, the more I'm probably gonna try to play my best poker, because every pot is almost inherently interesting in a high stakes session. Yeah, I guess that's kind of a good way to answer it. But like if people are playing crazy, then I'm gonna try to pick good times to, you know, play a little crazy back every once in a while and try to catch them if they're overdoing it.
I like that. You reward the crazy with more crazy.
Yeah,
That's good.
I mean, I definitely give more action to players who I know are wild and getting in there a lot. Yeah, so
was good.
that's kind of how
I don't know.
kind
I
of
heard
how I
you
approach
pulled
it.
the top pair to the crazy person recently. It was
When?
Ace Jack, right? Was
A queen came out on the turn.
Oh,
Like,
no.
Sorry, second
Like,
pair.
he got lucky. No, like
Also, he didn't quite know yet.
And Matt,
he ended up owning like
Matt Moore had
And Matt had
kings.
kings. There was a solid person in there with a big hand.
When you're playing against two opponents and
Yeah.
you're playing against someone for the first time and you don't really know how they play, although Justin does have a reputation, which is good to have.
it's about sexy moves. Sorry, what's my
Yes,
reputation?
it's a
I'm not really
silver
sure.
fox reputation. You know, Yeah, just when you're playing against multiple opponents, the whole dynamics change, and you don't really want to get too committed to situations with second pair.
Advice we've yet to learn.
But I mean, like if you are, that's table one is a not the worst time to get involved with second pair, because you will be up against 4-3 or whatever.
You might just be slightly outkicked.
But no, like literally right after this hand, I think he owned me in a spot where I check raised him on like a king 9x board. I had queen jack, and he had 7 deuce, and he just floated my check raise like a boss. And then I was like, all right, I'm gonna give up. And I checked back turn, and the river was like something nothing as well. And he blasted into me. It didn't make any sense, and I wanted to raise, and I couldn't do it.
Yeah, it just
He
seemed like
crushed me.
when I'm bet calling your check raises, I'm going to be really strong there a ton of the time, and I get to see what you do on the turn. And when you check, if I have like ace king there, I'm probably just checking and being like, all right, well, I'll pick off a river bluff, and then when you check river, I have the green light to fake go for value, and I'm sure that's what it looked like.
No, for sure. Like I'm as positive I was snap folded, but like in my head when I checked, I was just like, I'm probably gonna check raise here.
Well, I either have 7 deuce or I have a hand that's betting for value, and then your hand.
The thin value.
Right.
But yeah.
Yeah, it was just one of those kind of interesting situations that are going to come up like from time to time. It's not like that frequently where I'm going to be like bet calling with 7 deuce there, or anything worse than queen jack.
Oh no, like I was as sad as I was actually quite happy when you shoot 7 deuce. It was one of those like, oh you.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't mind paying.
Yeah,
That's
tap the
okay.
table,
Here's the money. It's okay. Because there's so many times I pay the 7 deuce. I'm like, that was sick. That was good. I don't mind that. You earned the money. And that was one of the spots.
We're talking about this session enough in the video. We'll put it in the description. I'll link back
Thanks.
to Brad's
Sure.
to Brad's vlog. It needs at least 2 or 3 more views from this channel.
Yeah. Might as well get up to 700,002. It's fine.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So every little click helps,
Yeah,
So says
100%.
the algorithm.
Hey guys, what's up? Art here. Just a quick break to tell you about how easy it is to get into the game on table 1. If you like High Stakes No Limit and you want to play with me or Justin or any of the characters that you've seen either on this podcast or in various videos on social media, all you have to do is go to www.table1.vegas. That's table, the number 1.vegas. And then click for a seat in the game. If you don't have the bankroll, if 5100 is a bit too big, but you have some friends that might play, we have a partnership affiliate program too. So just click the link at the top, it says partnerships, and that's it. And maybe while you're there, you buy one of these snazzy t-shirts that my wife makes. All right, back to the pod.
I lost where we were.
Where were we?
And we're back.
And we're live! We'll do it live!
There's a 100% chance we're going to use all of that, by the way.
Great.
Oh my God. All right, so focus. All right, so we were talking about the table 1 hand histories and stuff. I forgot.
Yeah. But like we've breezed past that. We don't have to talk about how
we
young
have to
anymore.
pretend like we haven't breezed past
Okay,
it
sorry, that's
and be
fine.
like, oh, what's up, guys?
Natural segue.
It's us.
So anyway,
I says to the girl.
What do you guys have? You guys need to come prepared with the questions. This is on you guys.
no, for sure.
All right, so the people out there want to know, how much money do you make per video?
That is a question we get.
Yeah, sure. I mean, honestly, YouTube stuff, revenue is not something that I like to talk about too much, but I make low, like usually between 1,000 to 3,000 per video.
Perfect. Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's not bad. It's okay.
Yeah.
It'll buy you into a couple of those prime tournaments that you like to play.
Yeah. So, I mean, my goal has always been to show what my life was like as a professional poker player, and that's changed throughout the years, right? Because before, YouTube made almost no money. Like the first couple of years, each video would make like a couple $100 maybe, if it was like a good video. But then, that changes over time. Like I really enjoyed making videos and sharing it, and I could always see that it might build up to something bigger. So I was like very happy to continue doing it. Now, you know, the YouTube videos make a good amount of money, like low 6 figures every year, which is great. But yeah, I don't know. I just wanted the videos to kind of always focus on my life as a poker player and not so much my life as a YouTuber, because I've always considered myself as a poker player first and then kind of a content creator after that, which is why sometimes, you know, it's not like the highest quality stuff. It's like pretty basic graphics. It's like copyright free music. And I just kind of go through my thought process.
Seems like a lot of the value is in like the networking and like, I mean, obviously you're in like good positions now. You own a piece of a card club.
Yeah.
You're a WPT ambassador. Like that's kind of the
Equity.
the better equity versus
Sure.
just like pure revenue from YouTube.
Yeah. Now that's definitely the case. And then I would also add in there network. Yeah, like, well, you did say networking, but yeah, making this friend group that I've made and having access to the Nick Petrangelos of the world. And you guys have had Jesse Sylvia on, pretty good friends with him through videos, and just kind of seeing how they approach poker and what they think about it has certainly like rubbed off on me, which I appreciate, and that's made me a better poker player where I feel comfortable playing in some of the bigger games.
So you'd go on the record and say Nick Petrangelo and Jesse Sylvia rubbed off on you?
Jesus. I had a serious question all lined up until right
That's
then.
what you said.
But no, they definitely rubbed off on him. Was it the same time? Would you say it was the same like time
Said it was
period?
3 videos.
Well, I'm just saying, like, was it the same video they both rubbed off on you, or was there one video where one rubbed off on you? And all right, that might be it.
Ask your serious question, Justin. Bring it on.
Jesus Christ, Art. Every time I'm like ready to go, I'm supposed to be the funny guy, and you're supposed to, what are you doing?
What? We're both the funny guys.
I know, but
we bring in the serious people, and then we're the color commentators. They got to bring us down to earth.
Yes.
Anywho, how did you even meet the people that you got into?
That it rubbed off.
I remember.
Yeah,
Yeah,
how did you
sorry.
meet the people who rubbed off on you. Green door? No, like the getting into the card club in Austin, like all those guys that rubbed off on you.
All right, I'll start it normal.
Start the question over, Justin.
So, for those who don't know, Art actually did a great segment about himself, like one of the more underviewed casts he's done about the 4 levels of luck. If you haven't seen it, go back and watch it. But Art talks about like how hard work kind of like behooves luck, and the 4th level of luck is basically by reputation, and it's a thing where like if you put yourself out there and people know that you're a solid person, you're trustworthy, you're good at certain things, people are going to call upon you when they want those things filled for themselves. I found that hit hard with me as well, because I've gotten quite lucky in my poker career as well. I can't attribute it all to my skill in poker. I'm just curious, like, are those things like things you consider like the 4th level of luck, where like you created a persona that is awesome for every avenue, and people just call upon you for stuff?
Yeah, that's kind of a big point of Malcolm Gladwell's, what was that book that he did that was like super Outliers, where you have to kind of put the hard work in and get lucky that there's an opportunity for your particular skill set. So in my instance, I'd played poker for a number of years, kind of professionally, kind of struggling before I saw Andrew Nemi put out the first vlog, and I realized, oh wow, this is a cool avenue for me to kind of show off the skill set that I have. And I'm just kind of a naturally really honest person, and so I just showed kind of all the good and bad things about playing for a living at the perfect time on YouTube. Whereas if I started now, as you guys are, I kind of mentioned this earlier, that it is tough to stand out when there are hundreds or thousands of poker content channels now. So timing was a huge factor for me. Whereas if I started out now, it would take, I might not ever get to the level where I'm at. So yeah, you got to get lucky with all that stuff. But like you said, reputation is important, and reputation is something that you can control. Hard work is something that you can control. And I feel like I've worked as hard or harder than anybody else in the space, especially over the last several years, and especially just on my own, because I've put out 290 videos now, and I've done them all myself for about 260 of them or so. But yeah, it's tough, but I also really enjoy it.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's a lot of hard work.
Yeah.
290 videos. All right.
That's great. All right, so let's talk about future Brad, because we've talked a lot about like past Brad, current Brad. So what are some goals, aspirations, whether it's poker or vlogging or something in there? What's most important to you?
So I went to the Super Bowl, what was it, a week and a half ago? And that was kind of a bucket list thing. It was literally a bucket list thing. I made this bucket list when I was in my early 20s. Hadn't really taken a look at it because I knew I didn't cross anything off of it for maybe 10 years.
Yeah.
But I brought it out and I started looking at some of the things that were on there, and I realized it would be cool to accomplish some of those goals that 23-year-old me would be proud of. And one of them on there was having a family. So I have a son that's on the way.
Awesome.
Yeah, thanks, man. Yeah, so literally 3 or 4 weeks away from being a first-time dad that I'm really excited about. And then winning a major tournament. I've been pretty close. I had a couple big final tables the last year, and I just kind of need to get over that hump and win a WPT or WSOP event. I think that would be really cool.
Yeah. One of the questions that came in on YouTube was like, how do you decide when you're going to sell action versus when you're going to keep it all yourself? And like, because you've had some big high roller like results recently, at least where you've cashed or you've played some tournaments that are pretty big for what you normally put out.
A 50K alpha, which you final tabled.
Yeah. So what happened with that? First, well, I'd done really well in tournaments this year. Started the WPT championship series with a 10K buy-in, and I got third in that for like 108,000, which was my second biggest tournament cash at that time. And then I made it to day 4 in the World Championship event for 53K. I didn't sell any action for that, but the way that my contract works with WPT is I guess I'll just give the number. I get 100K in free tournament buy-ins for the year. And if I cash in those buy-ins, then I get to keep the profit, but the buy-in goes back to the budget.
Okay. Oh, nice.
So I had 50K in the tournament budget at the end of the year.
This is like December too, right?
Yeah.
Oh, baby, girl.
So I took a shot in the 50K
awesome.
event, which is 5 times bigger than any buy-in that I'd played previously. And I'm playing against the world's best players. Bin Wang, Alex Foxton, Chidwick, Kuhn, all these guys, Petrangelo, like everybody who I have a ton of respect for. They're all in this event. I think there's like 65 to 70 entrants, and it's just world beaters. But I figure this is the best opportunity that I have to play in this event. I'm, sort of free rolling it. I actually sold 20% to Doug. He was like, yeah, I could use some gambling losses at the end of 2023.
Sorry to accidentally make you money, Doug.
Did he actually say that?
He did. He literally replied that. So that's the way that I could turn at least this money that I had left in the budget into real money for myself.
Joke's on him.
Yeah.
Sorry, more taxes, dog.
So I take a shot in it, and the first hour and a half, I'm just getting kind of obliterated, running very, very cold, playing against these guys who are just fighting so hard for every pot, which is a lot different than 10Ks and below. Like when you see the actual world's best doing what they're doing, there's just no pot that you're gonna take down with like very little effort. You're gonna have to think really hard, and you're gonna have to get creative sometimes. But there's some movie where I feel like Owen Wilson has like 10 flashes of magic or something like that. Does that ring a bell? Anyway,
Oh my God, that does sound familiar.
I feel
actually.
like being the newer player in this field, I was going to be able to get away with some one-time things that I would never be able to get away with again if these guys played with me a second time. So I did that a couple times, and just bit by bit, I ran well for a stretch, built up a big stack. Then these guys are putting me in really, really tough spots. We get to day 2, there's like 14 left, 9 make the money, and it's all of the absolute best players in the world. It's a $108,000 money bubble, so I'm just incredibly stressed out, just waiting for people to bust, hopefully. And even with these guys who have 8-figure Hendon mobs, the money, $108,000 matters a lot to them. So they weren't going down easy. They all know how to play short stacks better than I do. And they luckily, like, the money bubble burst. So that was a huge relief for me. It's 1.1 million for first. And I'm battling as hard as I can. And I still have the vlog to put together for that, so I won't say how it ends. But
Jeez.
But yeah, so anyway, going back to the point for how I decide to sell. Typically, if I'm playing a cash game, I want as much action as I can because I feel like I'm gonna have an edge, at least a small one, in almost any lineup. Sometimes the lineups are super tough, but like there's no real reason for me to jump into those lineups unless like the content is just going to be really good, but I try not to approach the sessions I play that way. So anyway, yeah, I like to have as much as I can, and occasionally there are games where you can lose 6 figures, and that's more than I really want to be wagering personally. So I will sell action if I'm possibly going to lose like 50K or 100K or more in a game.
Got you. Okay, and we can edit this question out if you want, but I just thought of it because I remember you were on a stream game, and there was a hand where you got stacked, but you guys were playing the stand-up game.
Yeah.
And there was some backlash about it. I don't know if there was on the internet, but in our circle of friends, they were like, "Did you see when Brad Owen didn't pay out the stand-up game?"
I just paid it. There's never been a stand-up game I haven't paid. I had to pay everybody $2K either by Venmo or some other.
Okay, so you just tilt left and then paid it.
Yeah, I would never leave and not pay.
Okay.
If you get stacked during the stand-up game, yeah, you have to pay it.
There you go.
And that was at the lodge. Like, I'm never not paying.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I just,
at
that's
my
what's
own
funny
card
about it.
club.
Like it came up, and I had heard about it, and I had never heard of the resolution. And now the people of the internet know Brad pays his debts.
Yeah.
Which shouldn't be the question, but yeah, honestly, like we heard the rumor, and it's just like that doesn't sound right to us. But
I didn't even know that was a thing. Yeah. But yeah, I had gotten wrecked during that session. It was the first stream that we'd played in the new studio, so we were christening it, and it was like a 50-100 game or something like that. But it ended up playing like way bigger, and I lost $150,000, which was by far the biggest loss that I'd ever had. My biggest loss before that was $30,000. I sold a little bit of action, but I was personally on the hook for like $100,000. I didn't think the game was going to be that big. So I capped like everyone else's losses, like
the people you sold to.
Yeah, I was like, there's no way I'm going to lose more than X amount, and then I went way over that, and so I had to be on the hook for all of the amount that was in excess, which was, I mean, it hurt pretty badly.
Yeah, sure. Jesus.
Yeah.
Definitely not nothing. I mean, like, not just the portion you had on the risk, but like you have to protect your backers. Investors
and then I proceeded to lose another $150,000 on top of that week. But yeah, I paid everything. There's never going to be like, and I paid everything. I always pay everything like the first moment that I pretty much can. I feel like there's like 2 types of people in poker who borrow money. People who well, maybe 3. People who try to pay right away, people who never pay, and people who just push it off as much as they can, but maybe eventually will.
Yeah, as much as they can without scathing their reputation. They're just like
Right.
skating. It's like pay money by Monday, but next Monday.
Yeah, and next Monday is 3 years from
Yeah.
that Monday.
For sure.
Speaking of which, I gotta collect a couple of people, a couple of Monday guys.
Too many memories. Memories.
All right, so we've hit a lot of the highlights we wanted to hit. What is your summer gonna look like this year? You gonna play a lot of tournaments? You think?
I do want
Yeah.
to know about this.
I'll be playing a lot of tournaments. I played a lot of tournaments last year. I think the most WSOP events that I'd played, I'd final tabled a WPT event right before, and then I final tabled an online WSOP event right at the start, which gave me a lot of confidence that wasn't founded, and bricked a ton of WSOP events. The thing that's tough about WSOP is that there's so many players, it's really hard to actually get a big score in a WSOP no limit event. Because you just have to fade like thousands of people, and it takes so long before you start getting to the big payouts that will cover the rest of your WSOP buy-ins. So I've actually never had a profitable WSOP because I've never cashed the main, and that's the biggest one that I play every year. Yeah.
No, sorry, I brought this up before. I've played every WSOP since 2004. I've had 2 profitable WSOPs. And like it's because like I'm mainly a 2-card guy. Like I will play some mixed game stuff here and there, but like I mainly that. And to your point, you're playing these 5,000 person fields where the money's all up top, and all that's great by me. Like I don't
Sure.
mind the structure. But that being said, it's incredibly hard to realize your value in any tournament period, but let alone one that's such large field and like top heavy as well.
Yeah, and that's why I've done really well in WPT events. I think the structures are really good, and they're usually a couple hundred people. Like a lot of the main events are under 1,000, and that's kind of perfect for me because I don't think, for some reason in my mind, it's just way easier to do well in like a 500 person field. And so for instance, the first tournament I played of the WPT World Championship was a 10K. I think there were like 70 to 80 entrants, and I got 3rd. So I didn't even make top 3% of the field, but I 10x'd my money.
Right.
In a WSOP event, if you're playing a 3,000 person 1,500, if you get the top 3%, you might like 3x your money.
Yeah, you might make, maybe if you're lucky, like $6,000 comes back.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. Is there what's the premier WPT event this summer at the Win again?
We don't really have the schedule out, but I'm sure there's always something during the summer that's WPT related. Last year was a 10K alpha event at the Win. I imagine there's going to be something similar this year, but they actually keep things pretty close to the vest, where often I'm the last to know what the schedule is.
Gotcha. Cool. All right. Is there anything else you want to leave the people with before we...
Sure, yeah. We got the Lodge Championship Series coming up. That'll be April. We're kicking it off with a meetup game April 23rd. So me, Doug, Andrew, Mariano, we'll be playing 1-2 no limit. It's a good opportunity to check that out. It's kind of a bucket list place to play. Justin, you said you've been there.
I like it there.
And I'll pay you later for saying that.
Oh,
And
I truly like it there.
but yeah,
my
last
wife.
year we had like a 25K event with Foxen, Bin Wang, and Doug kind of making the final 4. But our main event during the Lodge Championship Series, I think it's like May 8th through the 14th is when our main event is, and it's a $2 million guarantee, 3K buy-in, and it's just the most kind of energetic time to check out the Lodge. So if you're interested, then I recommend coming out during that time.
Are you going to go on that big WPT cruise? I hear them like
that's
advertising
right.
like crazy. Jared Jaffe, I swear he's an ambassador. He's telling me every week, he's like, listen guys, they got suites, they got... We're going to get Jaffe on the pod, but he is a big fan of the cruise idea.
Yeah,
So.
I went on kind of the trial run for it, which was a year and a half ago, but I've got a baby that's due March 12th, so...
And it's 21 and up on the cruise. Sorry, baby Owen.
Yeah, so being on the cruise.
If the baby was born on the cruise. Is that fine or no? Like, I mean, there's.
Just wait a couple of weeks.
I mean, just hold it in, I suppose.
Well, no, that's all right. We're not going to be doing that, but so I'm not able to make this cruise.
Yeah.
Cool. I'm excited to see how that one plays out because I mean, there's going to be a 25K. There's going to be a
5K main
another
event.
Prime 1K. There's going to be a bunch of big stuff on a cruise, which is just wild to me because I feel like cruise is just like typically gambling wise is like a rake trap and not really for gamblers, poker players. But this one is all poker players.
Yeah.
So if you can stomach that, at least you can have good tournaments to play.
Cruises are kind of notorious for just raking as much as possible, but this is a different situation where it's more geared towards real poker players, and that's definitely not the case on this one.
So just as a personal note for myself, if you happen to play anything after your baby is born and want to sell action, I will take all of it because baby run good
Nice.
is a real thing.
Okay.
And I believe in it, and this is my degeneracy and my luctitude
Yeah, I'll try to
attached
find-
to it.
I'll try to find a 50K.
But I'm just saying, like, yeah, if you ever need to like find a spot, you're like, oh, I just need an extra 10, 20%,
Sure.
you got it.
And Justin?
After the baby,
Right.
and especially if the baby's named Justin. But either way, 30% if the Justin makes.
He'll pay a 1.5 markup on any baby.
That's baby. But otherwise, I'll take a basic 10%.
Okay.
Yeah, and Justin, if you ever get down to the bottom of the last barrel, have your own baby. Do it yourself.
Jeez, if only I could find someone to have sex with me, it'd be great. Sorry.
All right, and with that, that's the pod. Thank you for coming out. This was
Yes.
awesome. Yeah.
Thanks for having me. I'll end it with a Bradley wave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hi guys.
Me and my buddy, we make it all of this money. Yeah, I know it's rude to be bragging. They never catching us slacking. Me and my buddy, we working hard for this money.